Hey everyone, grab your tea and relax. If you've never seen me before, my name is Tarvala and I usually make vlogs in order to share my journey through medicine with you guys. From the title you can see that today's video is going to be a little bit different in that I'm going to talk you through my experience of living offline for the last week. My ear's been acting up. It sounds like I've just come out of the plane and this just keeps tuning in and out of that phase. It's pretty distracting. Anyhow, I don't know how and why this is the case, but tea tends to solve all my problems. Speaking of tea, I actually quit caffeine for 21 days. They say in order to make something a habit, you should do it for 21 days, so that's sort of why I chose 21 as the days that I wanted to go caffeine free for. The reason I quit caffeine for this period of time is I felt dependent on it, and I don't like to have to depend on anything in life. It's nice to have something in your life and be grateful for it, the effects of it, enjoyment, whatever, but the moment I start needing something and I'm actually dependent on it, I think that's a sign within myself that it's time to learn to live without or learn to live with less of it. The very first day I left the house without any tea, I had the worst headache for 2 days straight. I could concentrate surprisingly, but my head just felt so big and heavy and it was weighing me down. I even took some Pro Plus caffeine tablets, which I got from the pharmacy, with me in case I needed that stat dose of caffeine. And every time I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna take this pill because this is unbearable, I just sort of didn't want to take a pill. And so I ended up going totally cold turkey with quitting caffeine. After the 2 days, I felt generally just calm, just in a state of relaxation. And I think concentration wasn't the greatest that I had been, but I wouldn't say it was a problematic level of concentration. After that first week, life felt pretty normal. My intention never was to never touch tea again, because otherwise I'll be a hypocrite asking you guys to grab your tea and relax, and I'm out here just relaxing without tea. Over the past week, I've had a few cups of caffeinated tea at home with my breakfast, and to be honest, I haven't felt much of an effect. I thought I would have been really hyperactive on the days that I've had tea, but that hasn't been the case. Also, my sleep has been a lot better. There have been a few occasions over the last few months or so where I've stayed up pretty late in the night, to 3, 4, even 5 a.m. because I've had some caffeinated tea late afternoon. Whereas these days I've not even needed a bedtime tea. I've just naturally been winding down and I feel naturally calm enough to just sort of fall asleep on demand. I know I'm rambling on about tea, but it is a significant part of my days over the last month, so I thought I'd share that with you. Moving on, I decided to go offline for a week because of the following reasons. Initially, I wasn't a part of a plan where I thought, okay, I'm gonna quit the internet for a week and see what happens to my life. I got really unwell Sunday night after my shift at work. I had crushing chest pain, which got better when I had some food. And then I just felt really rubbish. I didn't have a fever, I didn't have a cough. I don't know what it was, I think it was just the flu. I felt quite sniffly, yeah, and I had aches in my body. Fortunately, I've had this whole week off from work. This is my 0 week. That means that I don't have any work on this week. If I wanted to work extra shifts, then fair enough, but that's not what I wanted to do. I really just wanted to relax. So the first couple of days of this week offline was just me being ill, and when I'm ill I don't like to take the stress or the work-related activities. Another thing is I had some recent event in my life. It was this really weird coincidence that just couldn't imagine, and that left me with a lot of thoughts. And I like to think that over the last few years I've chiseled my mind into just dealing with difficult events in my life, whereas this one, for some reason, I wasn't just able to sleep on it and just move on. Especially because I was ill and I had a lot of time just in my room, in my bed. I just had constant thoughts, replaying the coincidence and events related to that coincidence from over a year ago. Another thing is I felt really misunderstood from this, and so I had a lot that I wanted to say that I couldn't say. There are two types of people when it comes to responding to someone when you're misunderstood. Maybe you guys can comment below which one you are. Are you the type where if someone said something and you wanted to say something in retaliation? Would you send them a whole long message, or are you the type to just be like, okay, or not say anything at all? I spent the first 3-ish days of this week writing everything out. Within the space of about 3 days, I basically wrote a book, which I'll never publish unless I convert it into some kind of fiction and you guys express an interest in buying it. That's not gonna happen. However, I've always found writing therapeutic. And here's the thing, I feel so much lighter now, having had this whole 3 days to just really brain dump what I didn't even know I kind of had bottled up over the last year and a half or so. When you're really busy with your life, it's just sort of, okay, you might have a few hours here or there spare in the day, but you'd rather spend it doing other things, or at least I would, where I think to myself, oh, okay, I've got this YouTube video to edit, I've got a couple of hours this evening, or I've got something to prepare for work, and I just didn't even realize that I wasn't giving my mind the space and the time that it needed to just be. I thought I would have run out of thoughts much sooner. Clearly the brain is a marvelous organ and it's full of thoughts and systems that you're just unaware of. If I were online during this period of time, I probably would have gone onto Google and typed in something like how to insert whatever your issue is. But being offline, I had to be the one to think of solutions and counsel myself. And that was a very enjoyable challenge, I would say. And so I spent the bulk of the first 3 days of this week being ill and just writing a book. And then 3 days in, I had this realization where I thought back to how I used to tell people that, oh, I really wanted to go to those retreats in India or even locally where you live in silence and you live without any electronic devices for a couple of days or even a week. Some people go even longer than that. And I've just not had the opportunity to do that. I saw one course in Cambridge, which is like a 2-day retreat, but obviously with lockdown and this pandemic, that isn't going to be a possibility. And I'm not going to go to India or somewhere really far in this pandemic, so for me it was more about just trying to do something a bit more locally or within the comfort of my own home. Probably not possible in an ethnic household. It is a thought that counts. I thought to myself, hey, listen, I've been offline for the last couple of days and I don't have anything planned with my friends. One of my best friends has an exam coming up, the other one has a lot of work and they're isolating from everyone. And yeah, just coincidentally, I didn't have anything arranged with people where I would be needed physically. My closest friends know where I live, they have my mum's phone number, they have my phone number. They could call if they really needed to chat or if they needed me. I'm not like 100% unavailable, I'm just offline. I thought to myself, let me continue the rest of this week offline and just see what happens. Now we've spoken about how and why this whole concept even came to mind. Perhaps you'd be interested to know what I've been up to over the last couple of days. This lovely microphone came through and I've been keeping myself entertained. I actually am in love with it. I recorded a cover. If you are interested in listening to it, then I would appreciate it if you checked it out. There's this one book that I've been meaning to read for time now. I got it back in August, July or something like that, before the book was even released. And the way I've been reading this book is reading a little bit of it and then I'd come to some realization and I would put the book away and then go and indulge in whatever that thought was that came to mind. That has been pretty good because normally when you read a book you're like, oh, I've got all of this information now that I want to implement in my life, and then the next thing you realize is you've forgotten whatever this was. Whereas when I've been changing and tweaking my life in small bits as I'm reading the book, I feel that my life has been changing for the better at the same time I'm finishing the book as well. Having said that, I've had people ask me, okay, so what did you think of the book? Have you surely you must have read it by now. And the answer has been, I haven't read it yet. And now, if you guys wanted to ask me again, I have read the book. The book is called Think Like a Monk, if you have heard of it. It's by Jay Shetty, who is an influencer, a person who I've been following on his Facebook accounts for a number of years now, and I think some of the videos that he makes very inspiring. And there's another person, Darman, his videos, I enjoy watching them as well. I feel like they make me cry and I pick up lessons along the way, and it's nice to just sort of implement it into my own life and become a more changed and better person as a consequence. So I felt really good having finished that, but I've done some video editing offline. I need to still go back and add some music, so I need to access the internet for that. I've been decluttering my room. These days I don't really have too many things in my room because I threw out 7 bags of stuff from my room over the summer. As a consequence of that, I'm not left with too much now. I find decluttering really quite therapeutic because for me it's just like minimizing choice and just stimuli around me. That's what it's about. Whilst decluttering, I came across my friend Floofy. Say hi, Floofy. Floofy says hi. I took out Floofy for a photo shoot. I won Floofy, it was kind of like a joint twin, about 2 years ago at Winter Wonderland. Obviously Winter Wonderland isn't a thing anymore this year, and yeah, I just thought back to how much fun Winter Wonderland usually is. Floofy gave me some pleasant memories to think of. If you want to see some photos of Floofy and I, then please follow me on Instagram. Photos will not disappoint. Okay, Floofy, you can sit down now. Ugh, you're kind of heavy, big boy. In terms of how being offline has changed my life, to be honest, it hasn't changed my life as much as I would have hoped. I thought I would have, I don't know, just been a bit more zen and enlightened, but that hasn't been the case. I've been getting much better sleep. That's definitely something that has changed. Sleep in terms of the rapidity with which I do fall asleep, but also I've been waking up pretty much consistently around the same time. The first thing in my mind isn't even really anything stressful. I literally hear the birds and I'm like, wow, this is beautiful, I want to hear more of this. And I wake up, go to the back part of the house and just sort of listen to more birds because there's a cemetery not too far from us. Another thing that has changed is just my awareness of things around me. So whether it's like hearing people talking outside or walking around, just I'm a bit more hyper alert in a good way, because before this week I might be thinking about the next thing I'm going to post on my Instagram account, or maybe there's something that I read about or saw and I'm thinking about that, and as a consequence I'm not too alert to my physical surroundings. I can feel what I can hear, what I can see, all of that. Another thing I've enjoyed is walking around in my area. I had a visitor, shout out to Alex, who came around not too long ago, and he said to me, hey T, you know, I never see you around in the area. How have you been living on the same street for a number of years and I don't know who you are? And I said to him, you know what, I'm actually really quite scared in my area just with how I've been raised, what I have seen growing up. And he said to me, no, this area is super safe, like you should come out and walk with me sometime, maybe in the dark, because that's what you're really scared of. Obviously, being the chicken and the shy person that I am, I said yeah, and then I just disappeared. But recently I went for a walk in the dark. I went through the park, and that is like the scariest thing that I could have imagined before this week. I faced my fears. I left without my phone, nothing on me, no electronic devices. I just took my bank card in case I saw some nice food that I wanted to buy, which I did. It was just so amazing. I was alert to my surroundings, but I didn't fear anything. My biggest fear when it comes to walking around in the night and stuff is like getting mugged and robbed. Normally I might have like my iPad or camera or even phone, like that's still valuable enough for me to be scared. Whereas when I didn't have any electronics on me, I'm like, well, there's nothing for me to give. It was just nice to not fear things walking around in the dark. And I did it for a couple of days. I took the same route. And another thing that was really interesting is, even though I was walking the same route for the past 3 days, I've been noticing new things every time, even though it's literally the same route. For example, there was this big painting that I've never noticed. It took literally the third walk for me to look at it and be like, oh, this is really interesting. I stood there just staring at it, and I was quite impressed that I hadn't noticed it before. And it just reminded me how a lot of times we're just on this autopilot mode and we're just not really noticing things in our surroundings. And I don't know if that's a way to live forever. And I don't know if I'm happy just living on autopilot. I don't think I find that very appealing now, just in hindsight. Another thing I've been doing on my walks is making eye contact with people. I had this interesting conversation with someone from outside London recently, and he was saying how, oh, you know, he's found that outside of London people are a lot more friendly. And I said, yeah, in London it's forbidden to make eye contact with anyone. Just thinking about that, why did I think that? Why did I feel that way? Why has this been an observation that I had made? Why am I bothered by this? And I thought to myself, okay, I get anxious when I make eye contact with people in London. I'm a shy person, so let me just make eye contact with people and smile at them. That is another thing that I've been doing during my walk. I've also been walking around with 2 hands that are free. The reason is, I don't mean this in a boastful way, but I often see people who need a hand. Someone who's maybe less able, or they're carrying really heavy bags. Just growing up, I've always been the person who's just like, oh my gosh, let me help you. Where do you live? I can drop your stuff off with you. And then we have like interesting conversations that I remember years down the line and stuff like that. However, these days I've been on the go and I'm really busy and I'm holding lots of things for myself, and therefore my availability to be there and help people in the physical sense, whether it's just like holding, I don't know, something heavy to walk up the stairs when I'm leaving the station, something like that. I just don't have the ability to help in that regard, and that makes me feel not guilty, but just not good. And I don't like that feeling. I find it uncomfortable, so it's been pretty rewarding just like walking around hands free, just knowing that if I really wanted to help someone physically, I could do that. Another way that being offline has changed my life is that I've been making more of a connection with the things that matter to me. There's one saying somewhere, I don't remember the exact words, it's something along the lines of, you are who you are when nobody is around. And I like to think that I have a good sense of self, and I know who I am, what I like, what my interests are, what my positive qualities as well as my weaknesses are. But I think just being offline has further reinforced my sense of self. And also it's been nice to just like live with my genuine thoughts and feelings especially. The reason I say that is because when you're interacting with people, often you might feel the need to like fake a smile, or if someone says a joke and it's not funny, you might feel the need to have to laugh, even though that can be draining. And just being offline has meant that I've been using my energy for more meaningful activities rather than just sort of expending it in a way that I might not be too happy with. Another thing is this week has been unusually lazy but productive as well. The time I would have spent procrastinating, I've been spending relaxing, which is an important part of life. Because I'm relaxed and I'm recharged, I have more like energy and also motivation to do things that I've been wanting to do for a while. Pretty much all of my hobbies are offline, so just really been keeping up with that has been nice. I think that's pretty much all that's on my mind at the moment. I'm aware that it's getting quite dark in here. That's another thing. Days where I've just been like scrolling through social media and stuff, I don't even realize when it's gotten dark. Sometimes my mum would come in and be like, why are you sitting in the dark? Are you not gonna close the curtains and turn the lights on? And I'm like, what, it's dark outside? I think this exemplifies the fact that I'm a bit more aware of my surroundings, and that feels really good. Well, one disclaimer that I probably should have put at the start of this video is I did log into my emails. I am a doctor and I do have responsibilities, so I did log into my NHS email account specifically that once a day for like 5 to 10 minutes. Fortunately, I didn't have any responsibilities where I needed to like really respond to things, but there were like a few forms that they were like, oh, can you fill it out before this date, and I went and did those. I don't know how useful this video is to you guys. Maybe there's a thing or two that you might pick up. I don't know, but let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Moving forward, this week offline shouldn't affect my productivity for you guys in terms of like a content creator perspective. Most of the work that I do is all offline, whether it's the photos on my Instagram that I work on away from Instagram itself, unless I'm coming to post. And also YouTube videos, that's all just like stuff I film on my camera as I'm doing now, and then I import into my laptop and use an offline software to edit everything. Even the music, sometimes I just get it from previous videos or like whatever's saved on my computer. I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys my vlogs and also the cover song that I think you guys might enjoy. I've been talking for so long that my camera actually was full and I didn't even realize. This video I know is very different to what you guys are probably used to on my channel. I hope in some ways you're able to take away a lesson or two, and I'm really interested to know what your thoughts are on this, so please do leave a comment below. If you like the video, then please hit the like button and consider subscribing. I would really appreciate that, and I hope to see you guys soon.